reading the old man and the sea, right? What am I going to get out of reading these fictional books? But take it from me, as someone who very recently in my life actually started reading fiction, like within the last couple of years. You do get a lot out of fiction, right? Fiction, I think, has the ability to teach you more about life and about, it helps you to see the world through another person in a way that watching a movie cannot, and in a way that just sitting around and thinking about what another person's perspective might be cannot.
Feeding the sailors in America's Navy? It takes a passion for cooking and a willingness to push beyond your limits. Learn more about being a culinary specialist at Navy.com/careers that cook. America's Navy, forged by the sea.
Cannot. Nothing will put you in the shoes of another person who is completely different from you better than reading a story from that character's perspective.
A book trust poll found that 42% of mothers, compared with 29% of fathers, read with their under ones every day, while 71% of mothers, compared with 62% of fathers, read with their 3-year-olds every day. In another study titled African American, White, and Latino Fathers' Activities with Their Sons and Daughters in Early Childhood, researchers found that fathers of boys engaged in physical play more frequently than fathers of girls, whereas fathers of girls engaged more frequently in literary activities. From the time we are born, men adopt common gender roles and therefore have little to no male reading role models. Now this is where you can make a nature versus nurture argument. Do fathers feel more biologically inclined to prepare their sons for the physicality of the world? Or is it because that's what our culture has taught them to do? Honestly, I think it's a little bit of both. I think men tend to naturally gravitate towards and fixate on things related to the physical rather than the emotional, which pushes many men to overdevelop that area of their life and underdevelop the more intuitive, empathetic, emotional side. However, this is 100% not an excuse to allow this trend to persist. There is so much lacking culturally in regards to how men treat other men and how they perceive.
Yeah, I think there's definitely a biological component. However, I do believe that a lot of men don't see the value in reading beyond doing well in school so that you can get a degree, so that you can make money in a career. That's a lot of men's perspectives, right? And so they don't feel the need to sit down and read with their children as long as their children are going to go to school and learn to read at, do well in school. That's how a lot of men, I think, operate. However, when you understand the importance of reading and you understand, the value that will have if you teach your children that this is something that needs to be a lifelong if you want to be the best version of yourself, then you're going to do it with them. We alternate, and so I don't read with them every day. Some days my wife reads with them, but I read with them at nighttime, before bedtime.
See other men who are more in touch with their emotional literary side. We are told that allowing ourselves to be vulnerable, letting our emotions express themselves, and being moved by words on a page is childish or gay. As a result, our interests develop in different ways, and I think this subtly influences us to find books, especially fiction, less enjoyable than they are to women, which is backed up by the data. In 2018, 24% of 15-year-old boys and 44% of girls the same age agreed that reading is one of my favorite hobbies, while 60% of boys and 39% of girls agreed that I read only to get information that I need. That same study found that more than
See, men, boys, males, very functional. 60% of boys are like, look, I read because I need what's in the fucking book. If I didn't need what was in this book, I wouldn't read it.
40% of girls at age 15 reported reading at least 30 minutes a day, compared to only about a quarter of boys who did the same. This is very telling of the general sentiment.
And how much of that is literally just studying for school, right?
That I hear from a lot of younger guys regarding books, which is that unless they are directly contributing to the enhancement of one's utility, they are a waste of time. In a New York Times article titled, "Why Did the Novel Reading Man Disappear?" a college literature professor said he had trouble getting many of the young men in his courses interested in the material because they did not see the benefit of novels. They're more interested in the instrumental, he said. Now, why this is the case goes incredibly deep. There's so many different aspects to this, and I've talked about masculinity a a lot on this channel, so I'm going to do my best to explain how it relates to reading books here. It is not entirely unjustified for young men to feel this way. Due to the system we live in, we are taught at a young age that we are worth nothing unless we have accomplished some sort of tangible success in our lives.
Yeah, definitely.
And how our culture defines tangible.
Yeah. You know, this is an idea that I've had from early in my 20s, right? Like the male loser. There is no female equivalent to the male loser. You know, I just remember having this thought that if you don't accomplish certain things, if you are in your 30s living with your parents, you don't have a degree, you don't have a skill that makes money, you don't have a business going, you don't have anything going on in your life, you work some dead end, low paying job, and you live with your parents, or you're still roommates with some other broke guy, you're a loser. Right? You don't have a girlfriend, you don't have a wife, you don't have kids at a certain point in time, you're a loser. It's like, but there is no, you know, a chick is still living with her parents in her 30s, it's like she's not a loser. Well, when does the woman become a loser? Well, women don't ever really become losers.
When you see an oversized load, slow your pace. Give them space. Oversized loads are different from other vehicles. They are bigger, heavier, and take longer to stop. Sometimes, pilot cars are present to warn drivers about oversized loads and help guide them. Don't try to get around an oversized load or a pilot car. Let them guide you. Slow your pace. Give them space. Learn more at esc.org.
Losers? What it is like it just becomes sad, and that sadness is of course linked to a woman not getting married and having kids. Like they'll say that's sad, right? A woman in her 50s with a multi-million-dollar business, like culture, society doesn't really like that. They don't respect it or admire it in the same way that they respect and admire a woman who makes $60,000 a year, but she has 2 kids and is married to her husband. You know what I mean? Like that's the society we live in. And so, you know, men, we don't give a fuck about this reading shit if it's not going to help us to be winners. That's kind of how we've been programmed.
Success is usually in the form of wealth or status. Wealth usually comes in the form of money, but status can mean many different things. Social status, physical status, career status, intelligence status, etc. If you cannot signal that you have something substantial to provide to the world, you are treated like a ghost. And I'm not saying this isn't the case for women. Women's worth is often derived from their outward appearances, but typically women are not socially punished as harshly if they're not reaching a certain outward appearance. So since this is what our culture and system magnifies in men, naturally men are going to gravitate towards activities that translate into skills that will stop them from being treated
like. You don't really hear people mocking women for being broke. You know what I'm saying? But men, oh, you're a brokey. You're a broke boy. That's a real blow to the ego right there, right?
Like a ghost. And on the surface, the only books that are justifiable to that cause are self-help books, but only a very particular type of self-help book. Self-help books tagged with memoir, biography, and autobiography have more female readers, while those tagged with science, business, psychology, and religion have more male readers. In other words, men are less interested in learning about people's stories, struggles, and emotions, and more interested in learning about how to gain what society values in men.
Yeah, this is why men struggle to empathize. This is why empathy is such a poorly developed muscle in the brains and the minds of many men.
What's only exacerbated this trend of men putting their attention solely on things that result in utility is, of course, our economic situation as well. Capitalism breeds hustle culture. Hustle culture teaches the idea that you can be the most handsome, successful, popular dude if you just work every waking hour. And if you work every waking hour, you know what you don't have time for? Reading for pleasure. It better be a book about creating a Roth IRA, explaining the psychology of money, winning friends and influencing people, or being a manipulative dictator. And I'm not even saying that self-help books are inherently bad, but they don't leave the same type of impact that fiction books do. A type of impact that is severely lacking in the modern world, which I will discuss more deeply when I go over the consequences towards the end of this video. Additionally, I think this helps us understand something that may or may not be shocking to you. Men are way more reluctant to read female authors than women are reluctant to read male authors.
Yeah.
Newly analyzed data drawn from Nielsen Book Data's consumer research shows that for the top 20 best-selling female writers of fiction and nonfiction purchased in the UK in 2023, fewer than 20% of purchases were made by men, with the majority of these focused on the classics as opposed to works by contemporary writers.
Right.
In comparison, 44%
This
of
is one of the biggest nerfs that men are inflicting upon themselves. Not listening to women talk, right? Not listening to women YouTubers, not reading books written by women. Like, bro, that's something that I've changed within the last year, right? Is, bro, for the longest while, I wouldn't watch YouTube channels that were ran by women. Like, I would see YouTube videos here and there, but like I didn't have any, oh, this is one of my go-to channels. Oh, Shorty just dropped, I need to listen to this because she's such a great YouTuber. Nigga, I wouldn't play a video game if I had to play as a chick, right? Again, all the brainwashing. But bro, literally, they got some of the best shit just in general. Women are on average more educated than men. They offer a new perspective, and the core issue that is being explored in this video is the lack of diversity of information and thought and perspectives that men are being exposed to, right? The wider you go in regards to receiving perspectives and information, the more nuanced your thinking is going to be, the better you will be at putting yourself in the shoes of other people, and you're just going to be a smarter, wiser person.
top 20 best-selling male writers of fiction and nonfiction.
Starting a business? Put it in the right hands with LegalZoom. Because the last thing you'd want to do is let it fall into the wrong hands. With easy-to-use tech and 25 years of experience, LegalZoom offers personalized support to help ensure your business is formed accurately and complies with state regulations. So if you need a legal hand, visit LegalZoom. LegalZoom provides access to independent attorneys and self-service tools. LegalZoom is not a law firm and does not provide legal advice.
Nonfiction were bought by women. Going off what we know about the culture in our economy, my hunch is that men are less open to receiving ideas and insights from someone like a female author who they might think not be able to help them with something regarding tangible value. Their motives for reading are different. Conversely, women are more open-minded and receptive towards receiving different viewpoints that come from men, and on top of that, their motive for reading is more frequently one of leisure. But that's just my theory. I would love to know what you think about this particular data point by leaving a comment. And since these trends in book sales have persisted for so long, the market has adapted to them, only further exacerbating this trend. In the New York Times article I mentioned earlier, the author highlights a walkthrough of a book chain in New York City. He states, "Eventually, Mr. Kiono took me to the front to look at an attractive customer favorites display. Here, pastel and vivid colors dominated the covers of books by romance and romantic stalwarts like Carly Fortune and Sarah J. Maas, the author of the popular Account of Thorns and Roses series." It was also found that by 2020, for the first time in history, women were publishing more books than men, contributing to increased revenue for the industry.
Bro, I'm telling you, women are creeping up. They're gonna take this shit over. You gonna see. They're gonna take this shit over. It's gonna be a quiet takeover. They're becoming more educated than us. They already are. Let's stop using the word becoming. They are more educated than us, on average, statistically. They are going to become wealthier than the average. Like, the average woman is going to eventually make more than the average man. It's just inevitable, right? Men need to start going back to school, and men need to fucking get their shit together, honestly.
For both male and female consumers. And I think many of these sales can be attributed to Book Talk. Book Talk is the site of TikTok where readers
It
recommend.
should even be a competition. Who gives a fuck? It doesn't matter if like women on average make more money than men. It doesn't matter. Like I'm just saying though, women are doing a lot of the right things when it comes to intellectualism. This is what men just need to understand. Reading is like working out for your brain. That's it, right? It's good to be more informed. It's good to be smarter. It's good to expose yourself to new ideas. When you expose yourself to new ideas, you think differently. You have more pieces to work with. You have more concepts, better structures to work with to help you to think things through. Check this out. I've noticed when you read, you use more words. It's not just that, you read a book, you come across a new word, and you look up what that word means, and maybe you start to use the word, and now it's added to your vocabulary. I mean, you find yourself just using more words, like words you've heard. It's like your brain unlocks. The more you read, the better your brain is at just capturing words. And that's important because if you don't have a word to describe something, you literally cannot communicate about that thing, right? This is a concept, an idea, for instance, that's explored in 1984, right, by George Orwell, The Ministry of Truth, how they made it an objective to destroy words. By destroying words, you make it impossible to communicate. For instance, if we didn't have a word to describe courage, how would you even articulate the act of being courageous? You get what I'm saying? Like you have and so this is why it's important. Take a look at the most primitive cultures and the most primitive peoples on the planet. More than likely, they will have a very limited language, right? They don't have a language that is as articulate as more advanced cultures. So it's very important, and it's weird. It's like, I don't know how it fucking works, bro. I know for a fact, though, it's not as simple as you read the word, you learn the word, and now you start using the word. It's like something like almost